My name is Ryan Coyne, CEO of Fighters Mortgages. I'm here with Ryan Coyne from SERHANT. Ryan, pleasure to be with you. My first virtual podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. And I've been looking forward to our conversation for a long time because you're a very, very interesting man. As I've gotten to know you better and better, you bring a lot of perspective that I hadn't really heard before this side of the border.
Perfect. And Ryan, I am super excited to have you at our Endure in 2026 September. Our third Endure is going to be huge, and I'm so excited and thrilled to have you as a keynote speaker and have you at the mastermind. But we are here to learn more about you, more about what we're going to be talking at Endure, so we can give kind of a flavor. So Ryan, let's start with who you are and what you do for SERHANT brand. And so we want to know, let our audience know about yourself.
Yeah, thank you for asking that. So I am Ryan Coyne. I go by Coyne, just a one name kind of thing in the industry, like Bono or Beyonce. I am the Chief Experience Officer at SERHANT Real Estate as a part of SERHANT Technologies, Inc. I am responsible for the culture and for the deep sense of belonging that our agents and staff feel, and to a lesser extent, the global public feel when interacting with our brand. I spent the first 4+ years at the company when we founded it as a big team as the chief technology officer before realizing that my tech passion was being that ambassador for humans to find technology more accessible. That's part of the experience of being here is the technology. And I think that it's so interwoven in every single thing that we do that being a nerd with social skills is rare, I'm told. And I decided to transition to chief experience officer. We had a wonderful hiring of a great CTO named Greg Chan, who's awesome. And I've been working with Ryan Serhant now for about 12 years and have been party to all the different things that you've seen and a lot of things that you haven't in order to build this brand and to make this company the greatest real estate company that's ever existed in the history of the universe.
Perfect, perfect. So tell us about SERHANT, how SERHANT is different and what the value they believe in, how you guys have built a huge brand, and also talks about what Ryan, talk about Ryan. Okay, I'm sure everyone wants to learn about how interacting with him, and we just talked about how he has different perspective of time management, all those things. So we like to hear some cool things and working with SERHANT and working with Ryan from you.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with a lot of different real estate agents and real estate companies, ranging from individuals to teams to entire brokerages. This is the fourth brokerage that I helped build to over $1 billion in sales. I just kind of happened to be part of the founding team of this one. I think one of the things that sets us apart is the founder. It is uncommon to have somebody who walks in the actual shoes of a real estate agent who understands, not just empathizes, but really gets it, what it means to do the job. He still does, less than he used to, but the man is a deals junkie. He lives and breathes it in a very special way. That kind of commitment and dedication. Like I had so many clients back in the day when I was just a humble consultant, so to speak. He was by far and away the most dynamic. And I knew right away when I met him, I was like, this guy is committed and dedicated in a very different way than I had really ever seen in the industry. And that's no slight to anybody else. He just kind of had a different mode to him. His time management, his 1,000-minute rule that's been studied, it was an official case study by Harvard Business School, was something that kind of put a framework to something that a lot of people were living but didn't really have a great system, a great way to describe it and teach it to other people. And I remember just kind of how electromagnetic the way that he conveyed sales craft and the way that he negotiated and did different kinds of deals and the way that he respected the power of brand. I mean, people know that he was on $1 Million Listing for a very long time, the way that he kind of built the brand up and monetized being known for one thing, but had to actually be good at it, or else you're just exposed and you're just seen as just the TV guy if you're not actually able to back it up. So being voracious, being a maniac for getting great in every single way and always pushing and always be relentless is one of our company values to this day, is because you can't give up on yourself. You can't give up on your client, and you're working for the deal at the end of the day to make sure that it happens for the people who need it done. I think that when in 2018, 19, when he was thinking about whether or not to start his own brokerage, he looked around, and so did we, at the landscape of places to maybe go join. And some conversations and some deliberation took place about where we might be able to go, and kind of realized that there wasn't something that existed that was really for the agents by another agent in the way that it was, and that something that wasn't ready to really take that media flywheel. Because what Ryan was doing already was he was generating content that was also creating community around that content, which generated commerce because of that connection. And that flywheel would just go around and around and around. So a company that had the resources internally to be able to turn other agents into something that can print leads in their sleep because the brand is so strong. It's not about Serhant, the company, it's about the agents, but we essentially make the electricity that powers them to then go out and do what they need to do with their clients and their brand. A lot of places will try to hide the agents behind the logo, or it's adorable that somebody has a brand, but it hasn't been strategically really planned out. Liking a logo and the colors of it is not enough. What is your positioning in the market? What do you want to be known for? What do you want people to associate with you? Is every single thing that you're doing something that is really connected to what that North Star of what you're trying to make sure that people think about? Brand is what people think and feel about you when you're not in the room. If you're in the room, that's presence, that's mystique, it's fascination that you're creating in people. But brand is the leave behind when you're not there. So he was somebody that was thinking about this in terms of the way that he could constantly be getting that flywheel to go around and amplifying that message to get in front of the most qualified eyeballs. He never had to pay for like meta ads and different kinds of stuff. Why? So you could show somebody a dashboard that said 40,000 people saw it, but where are the offers? Versus brand is something that permeates and gets people talking about and highlighting the things about you and getting them over to the right qualified people who are more likely to convert. So a lot of these concepts didn't exist at other places. So according to Ryan, he had no choice but to start this company because there was no place that was actually talking about what they were going to do to empower his growth. They were just talking about the ways they could make him better, but he was already great. And that's one of the things. If you're going to build a brokerage, or if you're going to build any company that's going to be hiring and trying to attract really quality talent, how are you amplifying those strengths and how are you helping them compensate for any weaknesses so they can grow versus just claiming that you're going to teach them better? So it's complete two parts of an equation there. I think most people just don't get strategic enough. That's why our marketing department is called ID Lab. It's an identity laboratory where we really get nitty gritty on who and what you are, what you stand for. And if you don't yet have a concrete mission, vision, and why that you are doing this, if you don't yet understand what your unique value proposition is, then those are things that are holding you back from building the kind of clarity in people talking about you and advertising you to each other, the way that Apple gets people to do very passively by the way they talk about the iPhone without Apple having given them $1 to promote it. There's millions of salespeople for the iPhone that Apple never gave $1 to because the clarity is there and the demonstration of understanding the consumer is there. We just help agents do that better while also being the most followed real estate brand in the world and while taking brand very seriously to make sure that that content is building community and that generates commerce. And we just kind of go around and around, whether it's Netflix or social or anything else. So that's a lot of persistence and consistency with that, a lot of thoughtfulness and strategic gambles, but also a lot of calculated strategic moves have made us what we are.
What got you into real estate?
My father owned a title insurance company when I was a child, and my first ever job was reading and editing title reports for his title company. I was 12 years old, and my mom was an English teacher. I was good with a red pen, and I would catch mistakes that people made on title reports. And I just learned enough about it and was around it enough that eventually I started helping with the tech at my dad's company, started helping the mortgage company that was down the hall in the same building, then the estates person the other way down the hall, the contracts person. Eventually just started meeting enough agents that they couldn't hire a whole IT company, but they could definitely afford a high school kid that would take extra money to do the same stuff, and that was me.
And that was yeah.
Yeah. So I that's what helped it take off, and solid integrity and only writing checks that I knew I could cash personally, which I learned painfully.
So you kind of grew
Some of
up
those
in this.
agents just became huge. Some of the agents I was consulting young just got really big.
Got it, got it. And so you kind of grew up into this.
Yes. Yeah, I consulted all different kinds of industries. I think real estate was alluring for me because I had found that prop tech, and this is going back to the 2000s, prop tech historically has vastly underserviced real estate agents. Real estate agents have a weird reputation in the prop tech industry, and I was aiming to fix that. One of the things that we really try to do is we want to empower agents with technology without forcing them to learn just like screen after screen after screen, and making sure that it's relevant and it's worth their time so that they don't churn away. I don't think that real estate agents are bad with tech. I think that they are not given the best tools that are the most intuitive and are the most uh, capable of being personalized to their use. It's a lot of generic stuff. And that's what I learned the most from working with so many agents throughout my life was that everybody is trying to solve the exact same 7 problems, which we can get into a different time. They're all just trying to solve it differently. And there's different personality types. Some people want to live inside systems. Some people only want to use their phone and keep it all in their head. Some people are comfortable delegating and having people work with them closely. Some people are going to be a lone wolf for the rest of their life. I think there was also a lot of different ways to run a real estate business that I was fascinated by.
Perfect. How did you get introduced to Ryan? Like, how did you guys have a connection?
I was in a computer department store called Micro Center, and I used to hustle for business there when I was young in my teens. So I would stand around or browsing the aisles or waiting for an order I ordered online or something. And I would look for confused people. And I would walk up to them and I would say, "Excuse me, I don't work here, but I know everything there is to know about this stuff. Do you want help picking something out from somebody who's not a salesperson?" And they would always get so excited. They would be like, "Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much." Because they're looking at like a wall of like Wi-Fi routers and like, which one, what's the difference? And I would help them. And they would want a business card and they would say, "Oh, my sister's got a law firm. They're looking for a guy. It's so great that I met you. You're so nice." And just one of the salespeople came up to me. He says, "Hey, you just took a sale from me." Like the first time that somebody saw me do it. He said, "We only get paid commission if we put our little stickers on the boxes of the things that we sell." I was like, "Oh, can I just have a whole bunch of your stickers then? And I'll put them on the boxes of the things that I help people pick out." So they loved me. And from doing that, one of the people who had me come back to their house to fix a bunch of laptops or something, there was a real estate agent sitting at that table, gave her a card. She was an incredible client of mine for like 8 years. Along the way, she introduced me to her business coach, and her business coach happened to be coaching Ryan Serhant at the time, which is another story that I like to relate to real estate agents. Just like you never know which relationship is going to lead to something that could change the rest of your entire life or your career. It is really about the way that you keep integrity and the way that you nurture your sphere. I've lived it. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for showing up as my authentic self and being responsible and maintaining integrity to the people who I was glad were willing to give me their attention or their business. If we are in an attention economy, the fact that anybody is willing to pay attention to you shouldn't squander it. There's something that you can do to convert that.
What you do at Serhant and how you have transferred your role from being a CTO to a Chief Experience Officer. And that's a kind of a Chief Experience Officer that's including the technology and branding, both combined.
Yeah, I mean, being a chief experience officer has everything to do with what people are actually touching and being helped by every single day or hurt by if there's friction. My job at its core is to help people make more money, is to help people feel a deeper sense of belonging, is to help remove friction from any part of the process, whether it's onboarding, whether it's the way that they get help from different areas of the company, whether it's making sure like our app Simple, Serhant Simple, which is the app that changed the industry and put us as the leader in AI, that is something that is simple to use. and that the things and the features, forget about the design for a second, that it's useful. How many engineering teams have spent so much time and money building things that don't actually take the users properly into account? I'm very proud of my colleagues that don't make that mistake, because it's partially my job to keep sure that the agents are at the center of every single thing that we do. I'm their voice in the leadership rooms. I'm their voice when we're also goofing off in the writer's room about planning different kinds of content. Last year, I wrote, produced, and directed Serhant the musical with nobody's permission and nobody's warning at our big annual event, because I thought it would make them feel special that somebody went out of their way to painstakingly rewrite Broadway lyrics and get agents in the company with performing experience to perform a show for them as a surprise at the end of an otherwise, still exciting and still dynamic, but otherwise at the end of a 2-hour sales huddle that anybody could have. We need to demonstrate that we understand them. We need to hear them and convert that into elevating our standards. So at the core, I make sure I'm the one who sets the standards of excellence, what good looks like across the top experiences of being here at this company. And I'm allowed to go into any room at this company and to be able to talk about what it's like to enforce them better, or elevate those and push each other, or make sure that the experience of being an agent here is something that we've properly considered, or that we're improving if I don't think that it's good enough.
And I do remember you mentioned at some point in time you were a stand-up comedian.
A terrible one. Sit down pays way better than stand up, by the way. And further, that kind of thinking, that kind of like improv spontaneity, has been amazing for the marketing participation that I get to do. You need to be open to feeling silly and sounding stupid and letting your ideas just flow and not just be trapped in your head. And I think that performance background helped me just kind of be fearless with sharing what was on my mind, as long as it's appropriate, of course. But I think that whether we're ideating the next campaign, or we're talking about copywriting for stuff, or ideas for posts or videos that we'll create, that I have the privilege of working on routinely. I even collaborated on the new chapter that was added to the re-release of Ryan's first book that just got put out again in paperback. We get to do so many different creative things. So brand, that we were talking about at Endure 2026, actually uses so much more of your skill set than you realize. And you've been collecting throughout your life. All your life experiences are contributing to these strengths in how you brand and how you conduct yourself every day towards building up that fascination and that mystique with you as a professional and the way people feel about you when you're not in the room. Even if you don't realize it, your life has been amounting to that. So yes, absolutely. My background in performance and comedy shows up in so much of what I do now, whether it's keeping a conversation light with somebody who's upset, or it is helping to write funny lines for Ryan's end of year Wrapped for his Instagram.
Coyne, we want to hear from you. That's some exciting, crazy, something come to your mind, working with Serhant brand, working with Ryan, working with Saleh, most craziest, or maybe is there something you always talk?
I don't know how crazy you want to go. And I have stuff that just like it's
Whatever is
wouldn't be
appropriate for the audience and on social media.
Yeah. When you ask a question like that, it's so hard to choose, because this is one of the only places in the world where I walk into the office and it's like, oh yeah, no, Kim Kardashian is also going to be joining Ryan as an investor in that energy drink, or he decided to buy a major league pickleball team with Drew Brees, the old quarterback for the New Orleans Saints, or Tony Hawk is going to be headlining our conference in whatever. It's insane the kind of relationships we get to form and what needs to be kept under wraps. Like so many clients that need to be kept confidential, or coinfidential, as some say.
Confidential. Yeah.
I think the debut, like the reveal, is always a lot of fun when people get to find out that something we've been working on, like we helped Bad Bunny get a special penthouse in the city, for example, couldn't talk about it for a while. That it becomes press and you can talk about it. Now, not everything is an exciting press story, but we had the privilege of being profiled by the Wall Street Journal. I don't know if anybody watching this realizes how harrowing that is, but it was crazy getting reached out to by a journalist who said, we would like to profile and talk about Serhant Simple in the Wall Street Journal. We're going to have a journalist come and essentially stalk you guys for a while. And then we're going to write about it, whether it's good or bad. And you guys have to accept that. And you don't get to say no once we start. That's a lot of pressure because they could find out anything. They could observe whatever they want and write whatever they want. And your company's future can be decided. This dovetails perfectly with the branding conversation we're having, is because the things that you do, the stones that you are putting down as the path for people to take towards understanding you or for your business, you don't have control over which way they go. So I think that was a crazy one that we just didn't expect. We get a lot of press coverage all the time, but having somebody want to come be embedded in our company was very harrowing. As far as a crazy one, I've talked to the FBI a whole bunch of times about different kinds of fraud and misrepresentation. Part of brand also has to do with the way that you control the way other people talk about it. Not just clients, not just journalists, but eventually, if your brand gets so successful that somebody starts to impersonate you, that's when you have a serious problem on your hands. We have, because of the exposure, because of Netflix, because of all the different things that we do, there are people who are very, very enthusiastic fans, and there are people who are very enthusiastic hackers who we actually had it. The craziest one, I think, was it was like 8:45 at night, and I get a text from Ryan. He's freaking out. He says, somebody just hacked my personal Venmo. What do you mean? I don't know what happened. We're freaking out. Like, what leaked? But there's two-factor authentication on everything, right?
Nick.
Somebody had cloned his voice and had used AI to make an image of him holding his driver's license and got on the phone with customer support and posed as Ryan and convinced them to let them into his Venmo account.
Wow.
And only because we knew people who were involved with Venmo early, we were able to get on the phone with their C-suite like the next morning and get things straightened out. They're apologizing. Oh, you were on a celebrity protected list already. We don't know how this happened. That is how fast AI is moving. It has the power to create and it has the power to disrupt. The way that you use it could either be very powerful for your business or very disruptive to your business if you're not careful about your setting your priorities straight. And I think that it's a lesson that all the bad guys have access to it too. But you definitely need to be on the right side of brand clarity in your own business to avoid anybody being less than perfectly sure what the value of working with you is and how you represent yourself, so they can tell the fakes apart from the real person.
Got it. So since we touched on Netflix, what's the impact? Like, I'm not too sure if you were part of the Netflix show or you were involved in the Netflix show, but what that brought up to SERHANT brand? Like, what's the change to the brand after the Netflix show, right?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan was at, I think, 1.6 million followers on Instagram before the show, and I think he's at 3.3 as of yesterday. So that's a more than double since season 1 of Owning Manhattan premiered. Our website went up thousands of % in daily active traffic. It put us in 300 million people's living rooms. We were in a lot of places before, but Netflix was something that put a big target on our back. People who don't understand the power of media were very, very quick to criticize that we were not to be taken seriously because we're just doing some goofy stuff. Listen, people want to see some drama on a show. We produced a very, very authentic show that told incredible stories about real estate professionals doing the hard work. We're proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some drama because some of the audience needs that if they're going to get through an episode. It's not a documentary necessarily. You know what I mean? So I think that we had to accept the fact that there was going to be criticism. Season 1 had its own controversies and press things that we had to deal with. There's a subreddit for our show that I did not create on Reddit. There's a lot of interest around the world. People are very, very invested in these stories. And our technology was ready for it. But I think that the staff was surprised by all of a sudden our building needed tighter security in New York City. Our agents needed to be a little bit more careful, especially the cast members that were on the show, because their phone numbers are very public. They're real estate agents. It's not like you can't look them up and get in touch if you want to. The risk that they're taking and the risk that Ryan was taking being that authentic on television in a new way, in a new format, without full production control, Netflix producers, the production companies producers, they will do what they got to do to make a good show. So I think that it did a ton for us as far as exposure and building that flywheel up bigger. It gives all the different shows something to talk about. If they're going to welcome him on the New York Stock Exchange or Yahoo Finance or Fox Business or Today Show correspondent for real estate once a month, it's all great. And they say, oh, and star of owning Manhattan, yada. It's a great soundbite. It's a great delivery vehicle. It's a great advertisement for why agents should want to be here, for the power of brand, for the power of storytelling. Overall, for the reach, it was big. Season 2 brought its own challenges too. Um, there are controversies that never made it to the screen that we have to find a way around and have to get people to call upon their professional and emotional maturity to move beyond certain situations. And you're always running a massive risk putting yourself out there, and all the things that you can possibly calculate for, there'll be something that happens that you didn't predict. But that's okay as long as you've got clarity on what your pillars are and what the most important things are for you. For us, we are relentless about protecting this brand. Therefore, if somebody is not a fit, no matter how much money they make, no matter what they are to us in different kinds of ways, they're not allowed to be here if they're going to tarnish it. And that's also a hard decision to have to make. So it also forced us to make some very difficult choices about what the soul of this company really is.
Right. So what can we expect at Endure 2026 from you as a realtor?
I think one of the biggest things that people are going to walk away from Endure with is an actual strategy of how to carry forward everything that you've been stuck actually planning and executing in your business. I believe very strongly, because I have a sample size of the thousands of people who are here at SERHANT and also the 53,000 people that are in Sell It in our education company, that we have the right curiosity path for each person to follow, to really unlock what is holding them back with the clarity that is missing to actually plan out the future of your business. Everybody's got something. The person who I was talking to right before you was like, yeah, I know I got to finally get on social. I just don't really. A different person is like, yeah, I'm really just, I'm a leads generation thing. I'm trying to figure out SEO and AI search and all the different things that are changing. When a different person just, maybe they're ambitious about getting involved in commercial or whatever the case may be. Every single person who's going to be sitting in the audience is trying to answer one question, even if they don't know how to say any of these words, even if they're not saying it out loud in some way, shape, or form. Am I building the right business for the version of myself I'm trying to become? How do I know that I'm spending good time and intentional minutes to actually build myself, to actually leave behind the things that no longer serve me, whatever version of myself or my leadership that no longer serves me, to actually know that I'm taking good steps towards the business and the life that I'm trying to build? Yes, it involves technology. And if you want better answers, you start with better questions. So what we're going to be doing at Endure is we're going to be showing examples of what happens when you ask the right questions to yourself, what happens when you change your thinking about AI's role in your life and in your business. So many people mistakenly think that AI is just an execution tool. Now, that's not a bad thing, that it can do things for you, that it can automate certain aspects of your business. Most people struggle with automate what? Broken processes that aren't great to begin with, even the human version? Well, that's not a great candidate unless we have a changed thinking on the way that we think about our processes. My business strategy overall, okay. Have we asked the question about what stresses and pressure tests have caused the business to stall where it is now? What are my goals? And am I actually setting up and having AI be that thought partner day to day to help me understand if the things that we're doing today are going to help me achieve that in the next 1 to 3 years or 5 or 10, whatever the arc of your business is. If you're a real estate agent, running the business more like a business is not as challenging as most people make it sound. And it doesn't mean living inside CRMs and spreadsheets and things like that. It means having a better understanding on what you are actually trying to achieve with it's not just more money. It's by what? Moving up market? Okay, great. What do those people care about? What do you need to be doing to shift your positioning in the market in terms of the problem that you're trying to solve? Because they have a different problem than your current price point does, and different levers and advantages. So I think that by understanding how to work with it to understand what your blind spots are, your strengths and your weaknesses, and also the automation opportunities that might already exist, you're unlocking the actual growth plan versus just these problems that fester in your brain and give you anxiety to not want to think about them.
And what can you expect of the mastermind?
The mastermind,
It's going to be a small group. It's going to be interesting. A lot of my contacts are very excited for that. So what can we expect in the mastermind?
the mastermind is going to be really interesting. The people who are going to be at that mastermind are going to have the most hyper personalized, turbocharged AI experience that I think that anybody in Canada has ever had. Only because I know that what they are going to have access to, the tooling that is going to be used to give them this great unlock, is not available anywhere else and is making an exclusive debut at the mastermind for Endure 2026. Every single person's going to walk out of that room with the keys to a hyper personalized AI experience that cannot be replicated any other way.
What can you expect from a brand building perspective from you as being a chief experience officer at SERHANT? How you can have the agents for the brand building, because that's something you guys very focused on.
Yes, it dovetails incredibly well, because if you've got clarity on what your actual positioning in the market should be, what your pillars are, who your ideal target clients are that you're trying to go after, that are the ones that you need to be appealing to. It doesn't matter if you like your bio. Does your bio tell the right story that's going to get these people to see you as the person who gives them the least chance of risk and the most chance of success? Is this what you need to be showing and appealing in order to actually be selected by these people that you want to work with? So I think that brand is something that a lot of people make the decisions about brand according to what they like. But there is a strategy, and this is done by every single company that is on like the top Fortune 500 lists, and all the way on down to small to medium businesses like real estate agents and real estate
Mhm.
brokerages. You have to be considering whether or not your brand actually tells the right story when you're not in the room. We're going to talk about exactly how to think that through and what we do here every single day. We have ideas sometimes about things that we choose not to do because they're not on brand. There's some things that we choose to do that are not on brand, but we want to do them anyway because we think it's funny, and we can get away with it because we can back that up in the market, or we have enough sample size, like the room scent that we did for April Fool's Day, where it was a video of Ryan squeezing his sweat from a shirt into a bottle, and we were pretending we were selling that as a room fragrance. Now, it was a real room fragrance for sale, but it wasn't, we can afford being ridiculous because we've got some credibility in the marketplace already, right? You can't afford being ridiculous if you don't yet have marketplace credibility to back it up. Understanding where the limits are and what's going to get people's attention, that's a fine line, especially in the attention economy. We call it paying attention and paying respect because those are currencies. So what we're going to talk about at Endure when it comes to brand is how to use what you are incredible at, your unique value proposition, and a refined clarity on your position in the market as a currency, because you're paying your customers and your potential future customers with the respect that you've thought it through. So they pay you back with attention. Otherwise, it's just not clear. It can't be random. It can't just be guessing. And most people just kind of are.
That's going to be exciting. You guys, like, it's a great to hear from you as a chief experience officer, and you guys have lived through it, and you guys lived a huge brand. I'm sure every realtor who's going to come to Endure is going to be walking away with a lot of knowledge and technology in the brand building. Ryan, can you comment about Sell It? What is Sell It? Is part of the SERHANT brand?
Sell It originally, Ryan's first book, Sell It Like SERHANT, that he released in 2018. And then I had the
Now it
privilege
has
of
become an academy, if I'm not mistaken. It has become an online academy for the
That's
real
right.
estate.
That's right. So Sell It Like SERHANT became an online course. Like the book became an online course. And the business was called Sell It Like SERHANT. We abbreviated that to Sell It just a few years ago. That is our education business. It's a sister company under SERHANT Technologies. It's in our holding company. There are 53,000 members in 133 countries, and in there are courses and different kinds of online events. We host digital events 3 days a week, Tuesday through Thursday. And we also have community spaces in there where people can do deals cross markets. We average about 37 deals a week that are done between the members in that community, where they're making deals in all different kinds of places on all different kinds of inventory, especially when things are challenging, because you need to make sure that you're getting things in front of the right people as opposed to just random eyeballs. So I think there's a nice culture that's been built up, again, because Ryan he does for a living the thing that he's preaching. There are some other places that have education and communities that they've built, but the person at the top is a guru who's a coach maybe, but isn't actually doing the thing for a living that everybody in there is doing. That adds a lot of credibility and legitimacy, that when you're reading one of Ryan's books, it's stories from deals that he was actually on as opposed to other people's stories. So I think that there's a wonderful community that's been built there on Sell It. I'm fortunate to be one of the faces on there. And we do all different kinds of fun activities, from nuts and bolts coaching, how to run your business or how to work with clients or negotiate a different kinds of way, to fun things like the AI test kitchen, where we put Gemini and Claude and GPT against each other on different challenges and see how they perform on different kinds of real estate duties and responsibilities. So it's been a lot of fun for us to grow that over the course of the last about 7 years.
Perfect. Amazing. Exciting. Uh, so first time you were in Canada, I think I'm sure maybe first time in Toronto for sure. How excited are you to be here?
I am super pumped. I've heard so many incredible things about your bagels, and I'm very excited. No, I've always wanted to be able to see some of those sites, including Rogers Center. I know it may sound silly, but I've been kind of a Blue Jays fan since I was a kid. I just thought Sky Dome was so cool. I grew up just like with this like Toronto fantasy about what it would be like. Um, yeah, even I'm not even so disappointed with Drake, even though a lot of people seem to be. So I from the Raptors and Vince Carter as a kid, all the way through the Blue Jays and the other wonderful things I've seen on YouTube about the city, I'm excited to get to come experience some of that in person.
Perfect. And what about the Toronto real estate market? I don't want the realtor to think, okay, I want someone who understands the market. Like I'm sure you are very involved in Toronto real estate as well.
Not only have we been very, very interested in the Toronto real estate market, since there is a secret Serhant agent who operates in Toronto. Okay, they're licensed in Canada. We are not yet in Canada, but there's a gentleman in Toronto who has been operating there and has a Serhant email address and has been on Team Serhant on the stateside for a long time, and has not only kept us interested and kept it warm, but we have a particular fascination because New York City is our headquarters market, and
Absolutely.
Toronto is kind of a counterpart to that in terms of a lot of our commerce and different people who move between the two. So it has been our responsibility to keep close tabs on the Toronto real estate market, and the nuances between the way the business is performed in the two places has been really, really interesting to learn over the years and to get exposed to. Gladly, I can confirm, or coin firm, as some people say, there
I
are
like that.
an enormous amount of similarities on the way that the business can scale and be executed, especially when it comes to the brand that we're going to be talking about and so heavily focused on.
Perfect. So make sure your secret agent come to Endure 2026.
Indeed, with the earpiece and everything.
You got it. You got it. Ryan, before we wrap up, thank you for this. I'm super excited and I can't wait to host you for a few days. You're going to be in our hometown and excited for the mastermind, excited for the keynote speaking. Before we wrap up, you want to leave few wisdom words for the audience?
Remember that whatever it is you're going through, even if it happens to be painful, the pain will leave when it's finished teaching you something. Whether it's regret, whether it's ambition, whether it's wanting to grow, whether it's wanting to slow down. There are lessons all around you that are encoded in the things that you're experiencing that will turn into wisdom if you can focus on the things that you can learn from what you're experiencing day to day.
If someone want to learn more about Ryan Coyne, want to learn about Sell It, want to learn about Serhan, what's the best way to go and look it up?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Ryan J. Coyne. You can find everything about Serhant at serhant.com and everything about Sell It at sellit.com.
Awesome. Thank you again, Ryan. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Veron, as well. I'm looking forward to it too.